Hello and welcome to another video. So today we're checking out the Elana Haven deck once again, as Elana is still seeing itself as one of the top meta decks in the current meta. This time round, Holy Lord Ektar is becoming part of the star of the show, along with of course Flawed Saint making another return. So there have been a lot of variations on Haven decks as far as that goes, right? Removing things, adding things, modifying things. The core of the engine is always the same. Usually everything below 4 is the same. It's once you get over that you can start making changes to things like Flawed Saint and Holy Lord. In this case, we're running 2 of each, as they are good support cards and work wonders at the moment with the current meta, where we're seeing a lot more Evo Blood, Rune, and Portal showing up. So this tends to do quite well. So we are going to get right into it and check it out. So the 2 games I do have for you today are both against Rune, which is a little disappointing. I was hoping to have a little bit more variation. But unfortunately, I went 5 games in a row against Rune, lost 2 of them, won 3 of them, one of which was a fairly early concede once they realized I was playing Elana and they just kind of gave up. So that was a pain. Other than that, I think I went up against 1 dragon and lost, so really it wasn't the best run overall, but this deck still is quite powerful. I think in a larger sample size of say 100 games, you could easily win between 60 and 70, no problem. Magitech Golem. Actually not a problem for this deck, because we're not going to run into it too often, so why not? We're mainly just generating cards to take advantage of Elana, which we can hopefully draw from, of course, the 1-drop amulet there. Which we managed to get as our actual draw, which is great for turn 4. Especially since we now have, what, 4 heals in hand that all cost 1? Yeah. That's pretty crazy. Really, you're looking for big turns where you can just swarm the board with a mass heal. Making them large enough that they're hard to remove. That tends to be the strategy I was aiming for most of the time with this deck, and it tended to hold true pretty well. Of course, repair mode is going to cripple that a little bit with Delta Cannon as well. Not too much of a problem though. We have Unicorn Knight, which is fine. We can then go for, of course, Spear, which is great. Remove, gets us the heal, gets us the buff. 2/4 plus the removal. There's nothing there you can really complain about. Mystic Seer, that's not something I've seen for a while. Interesting, coming from the Rune player. It is a pretty easy spell boostable card though, so it does make sense that that's what they're going with. It's also a good draw tech. I wanted to take as much advantage of the Holy Bow as possible. Unfortunately, I couldn't go too hard in on it, so I at least tried to get a Rabbit Healer as high as I could. That's why I did it this way. Otherwise, I would have just went Rabbit Healer, then that, but we wouldn't have actually got the clear, so I had to go with this line of play. Warring Thunder, not a fun one, but with a decent hit on the, of course, Keel, we actually get a really good turn for damage. Especially since we can now generate an absolute massive amount of healing to nearly go for lethal. I think we actually get extremely close. And with the Evo, that takes us to 19 damage, 1 short, but our board is almost unclearable at this point, even for a Rune player with some decent cards. So the concede was super predictable at that point. But it really does go to show that it only takes 1 big swing to win with Haven at this stage. So this starting hand is a little clunky. I don't like it a lot. Having Hoverboard and Robo Wing plus the Holy Lord Ektar, you know, Hoverboard, Robo Wing, Holy Lord, it's just all awkward. I don't like any of it right now. Hoverboard's probably our best play because at least we can try and drain something else, but even then it's still awkward and not going to do the best for us overall. So ideally we just need an Elana. At least that would then fix this hand up a lot, especially on turn 4. Going second, Elana would be perfect. But right now, all I can do is make do with what we've got. Generating cards as And luckily else, our draw for Elana. I mean, similar to last game, that RNG on the Elana draw was fairly good. Although we do thin out our deck fairly well, so getting it is reasonably likely a lot of the time. This time around, again, we're focusing on generating one big turn, using things like Tender and Repair to really take the board by storm. Our opponent, on the other hand, is just going to focus on trying to clear us out as cheaply as possible while retaining as much board as they can. Fortunately for us, Unicorn Spear is going to really cripple their play. It's a pity I couldn't have went for Iron Knuckle None, though. That would have been a much better play if I could have used that, but we're still a little bit off using Holy Lord Ektar as a really good play, but Lovely Heart Monica, it's not what you want to see. That card can be the bane of your existence, or it can go over easy. It's really dependent on how lucky you can get with your healing. And for me, I'm pretty much going as in here as I can without crippling our own board. I'm not going to waste my Evos too much, and I'm going to hold on to whatever I can. Since there's no reason to waste resources at this point in the game. I've got fairly decent healing now. We've got at least 4 heals in our hand. If I can get something like heal, we'll be looking at a really nice turn, but that's not so lucky. But now we've got 5. Honestly, can't be too sad about that. So I can start using some of this healing, along with the Rabbit Healer to get rid of the 5-3. Well, the 3-1, sorry, so they don't draw more cards. The 5-3 actually will just die anyway, so it's not actually a big concern. And if I can keep up at least 2 followers, the value that we can get next turn should be pretty insane. So Ginger, Monica, free Evos, and going for the Ginger. Makes sense. If you're playing Ginger, which obviously I've done videos on Ginger already, you do want to go for that Ginger play like that. It's usually what you're going to aim for. The unfortunate part for them is they don't realize how much healing I have, and with that draw we've actually managed to gain lethal. So I just got to make sure that all this is played in the correct order, of course. We're going to get a +5 on each character, which will give us a +10 damage total on what was already a really strong base damage. So this actually took us right up to 18 damage, and 1 more than we needed for lethal. If I hadn't have made that line of play, I would have been Holy Elector and just ran with it, but that worked out wonderfully for us. So this deck definitely performed really quite well. It was not as good as some of the other decks like Evo Blood, but it was doing wonderfully for what it was. I think with a little bit more play and maybe a little tinkering on my end, I could definitely get used to this deck a lot more, which is a common theme when you're playing as many decks as I am lately, which has been in just the last few days, I've played somewhere upwards of 10 to 20 total different decks, trying to get them all managed around and see what's actually good for a video, and obviously do my daily missions, all that normal stuff. But if you guys did enjoy this video, you will find the deck list in the description below. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more content. Until next time, guys, see ya.